Hi, this is Smash Rundown. If you enjoy movie reviews, short, and trailer reactions, you're in the right place. So why not subscribe and hit the like button down below.
Today we're going to be reviewing Scream 2 from 1997. Scream 2 is a 1997 slasher film directed by Wes Craven, starring Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott, Courteney Cox as Gail Weathers, and David Arquette as Dewey Riley.
2 years have passed since the first series of murders, and Sidney is trying to adjust to college life. However, when someone donning the Ghostface costume begins a new string of killings, Sidney is forced to confront her past once again. Starting with the good. I like the intro of the movie, because once again it's not like a super swift kill or anything that you get in some movies that are quite efficient and sneaky. Yes. It's very messy again.
Oh, totally.
And I like the fact that it starts with the movie Stab, which is Gail Weathers' book that she wrote, now turned into a movie.
Yes.
And that's obviously based on the first movie. So they kind of repeat that first scene that you see in the first movie, which was funny.
Surprisingly well done, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously not as accurate, and obviously, nothing that is based on true events is accurate. But it was still entertaining. And it was also funny that they got Tori Spelling to play Neve Campbell's character.
Yes.
To play Sidney. Because they make a joke about that in the first movie.
And also it was pretty cool seeing Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett Smith in like two random characters right in the beginning. The whole cast in this was pretty cool, like from the get-go, because big actors straight away, and then Buffy's in this as well, and Buffy is amazing.
She was very big in the 90s.
Yes.
And then obviously Neve Campbell does an amazing job being the hero. Sydney's quite badass. She doesn't take shit from the get-go, and she's kind of like mentally prepared herself for some shenanigans that are going to be brought out by the new book and movie.
Yeah. But
obviously not to the extent.
Even at the end, how she deals with the killers, she doesn't take crap.
And she's still nice. She doesn't want to really hurt anyone, but she does what she has to.
Yes.
To survive, so that was good. But this whole movie is also a little bit morbid, because it kind of talks about the fascination people have with serial killers. Because in the theatre and then even on campus when people are busy being murdered, everyone's running around in Ghostface masks.
Yes.
And I know they did that in the first movie a little bit, but they really hit it out with the second movie.
Yes.
Just showing that this morbid curiosity is a little bit too much at times.
Yes. And the movie suggests that the killings are due to movies and stuff, but it's not. It's an excuse. And even at the end of it, he says it's just an excuse to do the killings, which, people always find an excuse to do killings, whether it's movies or not. So,
yeah. I think it's very funny because it was a big topic in the 90s. And it's still a big topic today, but it really started in the 90s. And I still think there's not much evidence to or any evidence to justify that.
There were no scary movies during the Middle Ages, and people were still killing each other then, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discussion around the fact that people who are going to kill regardless. They all use a new excuse.
They will find a reason.
It's like this Pokemon is like, okay, demon if you redo the letters, and Santa Claus is like Satan if you redo the letters. I mean, you can do that with anything. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Dog is God.
So, that whole discussion was quite huge in the 90s. It was very interesting. And it's even more interesting that we still fight over it now. And this movie definitely has a good suspect list, because everyone at some point is a viable suspect. And I know they did that in the first movie, but I think they might have done it better in this one.
If not better, just as good, yeah.
And I felt bad for the boyfriend, obviously.
Yeah, shame.
Because we know what happens to Sidney's boyfriends.
I thought he was the killer for a while. So everybody did creepy things again.
Yep. You never know. Although the killers completely surprised me, because I wouldn't have considered the one.
No, she wasn't. I mean, she was in the movie and she was there constantly, but we didn't know who she was. So, yeah, it was a surprise. The guy was not a surprise to me. Because he kind of gave it away when he was protesting so much that sequels can be better than the originals. And this movie, again, is very self-aware that sequels generally suck. And it plays on that a bit, and it talks about that. And surprisingly, this sequel didn't suck.
Yeah. Especially because he kills Buffy, who was arguing with him in the film class.
Yes.
So he kills her straight afterwards because he seems very impulsive.
Totally an impulsive character, yes.
And I know in the end they talk about the fact that he was already a serial killer. So we don't know who else he's murdered before this, but, he's not well. He was using the movies as an excuse. And I think the fact that the one serial killer was the mom of the previous killer is very interesting because it's got a little bit of Voorhees vibe.
Yes, definitely.
And the fact that their name is Loomis. So it's once again Friday the 13th. Halloween. It's kind of paying homage to the great old.
I did not pick up, maybe they didn't mention it in the first Scream, but I didn't pick up that Billy's surname was Loomis. If I did, then more of an indication he's the killer, because that's just perfect.
So once again, it did definitely pay a lot of respect to the old classics.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. And if you paid a lot of attention, there's all those little Easter eggs. It's really for horror fans, I think. And then I still enjoy the fact that Ghostface is clumsy. Because like I said, the young guy, the serial killer, he's very impulsive. And obviously the mother's just nuts.
Yeah.
So we can see why her son was a little bit nuts. Well, a little bit
A lot.
But it just makes the movie more enjoyable, because a real person probably would be more clumsy. Especially impulsive ones like the young guy. It's just, he didn't think past his nose most of the time. Was less clumsy than the first movie, but still clumsy enough to make it feel more real. Yes. I think that's what makes these movies a bit scarier.
That it feels real, yes.
That it's something that I'm like, oh shit, I could see that happening.
Totally.
It just doesn't feel magical, once again, like we said in the first movie. Our first review. And
then, looking at the bad, for me the end was a bit long-winded. It was really, after the big reveal of who the killers were, it carried on and on and on and on and on. And the movie's runtime is 2 hours. They could have easily cut that down by 10, 15 minutes. It still would have been a long movie, still would have been a really good movie, and maybe the pacing would have been a bit better at the end there. Because for me it was a bit much, that last act.
It was slightly long-winded, but I like the fact that they gave Cotton his time to shine.
Yes.
And like at the end, there's that nod between Sidney and Cotton, like you've made good.
Just shorter.
Just shorter.
And then one more bad thing for me, killing Randy makes sense, but at the same time it doesn't make sense, and I'm really not happy with it. Because Randy was our guide to these movies. He guided us through what horror movies are supposed to be. So we knew what to expect from the Scream franchise. We knew all about sequels because Randy was telling us about sequels. With Randy dead, who's going to take us through Scream 3? Dewey. I don't want Dewey to explain the trilogy to me.
Yeah, I was sad Randy died, but as soon as I saw him stand outside that van, I'm like, he's done. Overall,
if you liked the first movie, you'll like this movie. I really enjoyed the first movie, surprisingly. So, yeah, I enjoyed this movie as well.
And I also enjoyed it. It's at least not a bad sequel.
Yeah. And
I'm wary that we might appreciate the second one even more as we watch the third and fourth.
I hope not.
And it's just like, who should watch it? Like you said, anyone who enjoyed the first one, and anyone who enjoys horrors will probably enjoy this.
Yeah.
As far as ratings go, I gave it a 7.
I'm going to give it a 7 as well.
But these are the total 7, which is quite respectable.
Yeah.
Especially for a sequel.
Yeah.
Slasher sequel.
Yes. So let us know in the comments down below. Who did you suspect the killer was the first time you watched this?
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Later.